So if you're joining us on YouTube, it's fantastic to have you here. If you're in studio with us, I see we got Chris and Nancy joining us in studio here today, John.
If you're
So
joining us on
excited
YouTube,
to have everybody here. Couple announcements on the Seven Movements front. This Wednesday, John here is launching his chronic back pain protocol, 30-day protocol program. So that's really exciting. We also have a fall prevention protocol launching and our Parkinson's protocol launching all on Wednesday. So if you're interested in exploring those or you know somebody who'd be really interested in participating, those are 30-day programs, a little bit more intensive with the goal of building you a habit over those 30 days and helping you learn about whether it be back pain, Parkinson's, or fall prevention. So part education experience, part practical, part engagement with folks like Mr. John Sinclair here. So the way, if you're first time at our movement clinic here, the way these work, John's going to walk us through 3 7-minute movement snacks. Then afterwards, we've got a little bit of time for Q&A. So if you're in studio here and you have a question, drop it in the chat. If you're on YouTube watching, you can drop it in the chat there too. So with that said, Johnny, I'll pass it over to you, buddy.
thanks, brother. Hi, everyone. Today we're going to do 3 movement snacks. The first one is going to be around the theme of mobility. The second one's going to be on integrating some movement tasks. And the third one is going to be on some recovery. We're going to do some stretching. So first thing that we're going to do is, let me start my clock. And then we're going to start with some mobility at the foot and the ankle. Then we're going to go to the hip. Then we're going to go to the thoracic spine. So I'm just going to tilt my camera down so you can see my feet a bit. There you go. Okay. And the first drill we're going to do, I like to call is pet the bug. So if you're standing, you're going to put your foot on one foot on the ground. All you're going to do is you're just going to reach forward as though you're petting a bug. We're not stepping on the bug. You're keeping all your weight on that front foot. And you're just going to lightly reach forward. And what you'll feel is you're going to feel like there's loading into that front foot. You reach and touch. Reach and touch. Okay, and then the bug's going to go this way, so we're just going to reach there, off to the side. So I'm still kind of bending my foot, bending my ankle as I reach and touch to the side. Okay, and then we're going to go across. If the bug ran over here and I want to pet it, cross that way. And then we're going to go to back here. Back there. Okay, now let's try the other side. So standing on one foot. What I like to do is kind of think about getting my toes spread apart. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm like kind of spreading my foot. And then go ahead and pet that bug straight out in front of you. Nice and slow. Just reach and touch. Okay, let's go to the side. Still bending my knee, bending my ankle as I reach to the side. My head goes over top of my foot, help me balance. Okay, and then we're going to go out in front. Out in front, you should feel your foot's kind of shifting a little bit. It's a good thing. We're getting some motion happening in the foot and the ankle. Okay, and then we're going to go back here with a little turn back, shifting your weight more to the rear part of the foot. Okay, now one more. There we go. Okay, little march. Okay, so let's go into the hip now. So we're going to take a really long stride. Hands are on your hip. I just need you to make a little circle for me. Just a little circle in that hip. So I take this into extension, this back leg into extension. Then as I do this little circumduction of the pelvis on the femur, go the other direction. It's going to get some motion right in the iliofemoral joint, right in that good old hip joint. Okay, other leg forward. Little circle. Okay, other direction. Circle. Okay, let's play around with this a little bit more. So that leg's behind you, I was kind of opened up a little bit. You can see my toes turned out a bit. What happens if I turn that all the way over and then try to do my circle? Try to pre-position this femur into internal rotation and then take a slower circle yet. That's going to really work the interior capsule of that hip. And we go the other direction. Okay, this is great for people that sit for long periods of time because we get stuck in that one position and then the compression is going to go vertical, but you're going to feel pressure on the inside of that hip capsule. So this is why this one's so good. So if I was here before, try to turn it all the way over. We just do some slow, subtle circles here. Okay, in the other direction. Okay, let's go with a really wide stance here. We're going to work into the adduction of this hip. Stretching adduction is the other one. Goes into flexion and extension. Flexion, then back up into extension. Think about trying to turn your hip down and in. Down and in. In. Good. Okay. Let's get into the thoracic spine. Cross one hand over top of your other shoulder. Let's just start with some rotation of the shoulders. Let your eyes go with your elbows. Okay, put your hands behind your head, and as though you have water coming out of your elbows, you're going to tilt that water out the side of the elbow. One more each. Okay, and then the last one, we're going to have your hands crossed in front of your chest. When you think about unwinding the spine from the top of the neck, down your spine, and then unwind it on the way back up. Start with a small motion. Go a little bit bigger as you go. More time. There you go. All right. Spine feel loosey-goosey. Hips are moving well. Feet and ankle feel prepared. Let's try some integrated motion. So second dose that we're going to give you is going to be on some integrated tasks. We've got 3 tasks we're going to do. The first one we call is a sit and reach. So I'm going to have you find your feet about shoulder width apart. And we're just going to reach forward as you're sitting into a chair. Reach forward, sit into a chair. Reach forward. So if someone's handing you a big bag of apples, out of the back of the truck. 3 more. More time. There we go. Let's put 1 foot forward. Same drill, but this time it's going to be off to the side. So if I reach out at this angle, my tail's going to go in the exact opposite vector. Reach forward, let those hips go with it. There you go. 3 more. Last one. Okay, then we go the other foot forward, reaching the opposite direction. Again, hips are going in opposition to the hands, but they move at the same tempo and same distance relative to your body. So if the hands are reaching so far, your tail has to reach the same distance. 2 more. Sit and reach, get a nice stretch on that hip. Okay, and now let's go vertical with your reach and then straight to the ceiling. So we're going vertical towards the ground. Sit and reach. Then arms way, way high. Reach like you're tickling the clouds and you're pulling your spine. Each segment's being pulled apart. Remember to stay wide through the shoulders, tall through the hands. You can even get up onto the toes. Reaching vertical. Get up onto those toes. Reach you straight down. Way up. Up onto the toes like a volleyball block jump. Reach down like you're grounding a baseball. Reach up nice and tall. Two more. Very good. Okay, so there's sit and reach. Now let's do lunge and twist together today. So we're going to take a step forward. And as you take a step forward, you're going to rotate your body towards your front leg. We step back, step, return. Step and return is the definition of a lunge. I'm always going to come back to where I started. Back to where I started. Good. If you feel adventurous, you reach a little further with the opposite arm. That'll get your spine to rotate a little further. Two more. Last one. Very good. We're going to stick with that same theme, but just change the direction of our lunge. So this time you're going to go straight to the side. And you're going to rotate towards the same leading leg. Again, choose your bubble, however far you feel comfortable stepping. But remember, your left has to match your right. So if you step the same distance with your left, make sure you step the same distance with your right. If one's easier than the other, then you got to shrink the bubble. Means if I step to my left and I'm having a hard time getting back there, I just want to step a little smaller and then shrink the other one also. You want to teach your body to self-organize through rhythm and timing. Rhythm and timing. It's not how far you go, it's how go you far. That was from the movie Ski School. Don't know if you remember that movie. I'm dating myself. There we go. Okay, and then we're going to go step back now. We're going to step back. You're going to turn, rotate, and reach. Step, turn, rotate, reach. Watch what goes on in my back foot. I'm just going to pivot with it. Step, turn, reach. Start slow. Step, turn, reach. Step, turn, reach. So 2 more. Awesome. Okay. And the last integrated motion we're going to do is called the hinge. So that means that my hips are going to hinge as though I'm a door and I'm closing the door and the hinges are my waist. So let's put your hands on your hips, reach your tail back, hinge forward at the waist, then come back up. Hinge forward at the waist, come back up. More time, wide through the shoulders, long through the spine. Stretch out those hips. Come back up. Same drill. Stagger your stance now. Reach at the hip. Back up. Very good. We go to the other side. One further forward than the other. My back heel is off the ground, as you notice. So most of the emphasis is on the front leg. Back leg is like a little kickstand. Help you with your balance. Okay, and let's do one really wide. Same hinge, keep the knee a little bit bent. Little sumo hinge. Big sumo stance. 3 more. 2 more. Last one. There we go. And then the third and final installment is we're going to do a little bit of stretching. Nice, easy stuff. So if you're in your chair, you can stay comfortable in your chair and do some stretching. If you're not and you feel comfortable going onto the ground, we're going to go onto the ground and show you a couple stretches from there. So I'm going to come down on the ground here. I'm going to put 1 foot further forward. This is like your modified hurdler stretch. You got 1 foot in here, toes pointed up to your nose. And all we're going to do here today is get as tall as you possibly can. So tall through the spine, wide through the shoulders. We're just going to hold that position. If you feel like you need more of a stretch here, all you have to do is just lean forward a little bit. Aim from the nose going straight forward. You don't have to drop your head down. Just reach your nose forward. Keep good tall posture. Okay, switch sides. Toes pointed up, nice and wide. Wide through the shoulders. Reach from the chest. Okay, then we're going to put your hands behind your back. So get a bit of stretch on the front of the shoulders. You're going to put your feet together. That's what we call a butterfly stretch. So I'm just going to do a little bit of an elastic bounce here for my knees. Nice little stretch in through the adductors. Okay, and then I'm going to hold them apart. Nice stretch in through the hips. Good, bring them up slowly. Extend one leg, bring the other knee on top. It's going to cross over. I'm going to take this arm, I'm going to bring it across my knee. Just stay nice and tall. Hold that pose. Nice stretch in through the spine and the hip. Okay. Slowly unwind yourself. Other side. Sit up nice and tall. Wide through the shoulders. Okay. Laying on your back now. Have you lie on your back, one ankle up on your knee. You're just going to bring your foot a little closer to your bum, this foot here, this front foot. And this hand's just going to go on the outside of the thigh, or on the inside of the thigh, and feel like you're giving it just a little passive stretch. You should feel a stretch in the outside of your hip. If you don't feel much of a stretch here, pick this foot up off the ground. Same idea. Lay your head back and just relax. Take some deep breaths. Okay, you can switch. Pick that foot up off the ground Hand on the knee. I'm gonna finish with my favorite stretch of all time. I'm gonna grab a pillow to put underneath my knee. If you have a pillow handy, great. If you don't want to be on your knee, then I'll show you one to do standing instead of this one. This is my favorite one. This is the half kneeling stretch. All you're gonna do is just lean forward so you get a nice stretch in through the top of the hip, and we're just gonna hold that pose. This is the pose I like coaching in. Just like this. Okay, slowly come out of it. Switch sides. That. If you want to do it standing, you just take a long stride. Think about getting wide through the shoulders. Try to keep your heel down. And just slowly lean into it. You should feel a stretch in the front of the hip this way also. It's good to do them in both, with the leg straight and with the leg bent. I like a little bit of a bounce to it too. Just to get that tissue to be a little bit more elastic. While we're there, let's just get a little bit of stretch into the rotators of the body. So you're gonna take one hand, bring it across your shoulder, rotate, feel a little bit of stretch in these rotational muscles around the spine. And then go to the other side. Go, reach up to the sky, hold this pose, feel your body elongating. You're trying to add a few inches in height. Stretching from all the tight areas of the body. Pull yourself vertical. Lengthen that spot. There we go. Great job, everybody. Hope you feel a whole lot better, a little bit more limber. You move side to side, rotation, forwards, backwards. Hopefully you're feeling like you're brand new.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. So this portion of the clinic where you can ask John questions, and we always give the people who are so kind to show up in studio the first opportunity to ask questions. YouTube, I've got a few of you in queue here, but I want to open up to Chris and Nancy who came to studio today if you have any questions for Johnny. All right. Well, while I let you guys get your questions out to John. John, I'll go to the first YouTube question. People are curious about your back pain program. Tell them what it's all about.
Well, this is the culmination of me helping people myself and helping other clients who have back pain for about 20 years now. And we felt like it was about time, seeing as I was getting so many clients coming in with back pain and not really having the tools or the skills to know how to deal with it. They felt like they were getting thrust into the world of medication and surgery. And so I thought, well, I spend all this time trying to explain it to them one session at a time. What if I had something that I could give them in advance in an ebook and then in lessons that are drip fed through to them throughout over the course of 30 days that would help give them some skills and knowledge and abilities on how to understand this thing we got called low back pain. Dan, we were when we were building this, what I love about what you said about it is if we could teach this in kind of a story format and be able to teach people how to accumulate skills to deal with their own problems, because no two people have the exact same symptoms, even though they have generalized back pain. Usually trying to find the strategies that make them feel best depends on each individual. So what we had to do is we had to build it in a way that we're going to teach you all these skills, teach you all these different techniques, all these different tools that we have, anchor them to the sciences, and then see how we do throughout the process of building a habit of how to overcome this idea of back pain. So it really starts with an awareness piece, being aware of where pain is, what it is, why is it that your body's communicating in the way that it is, and being grateful for that. I think too often, pain does suck. It's awful, but we also don't give it the attention and the love that it deserves. And so pain is just a communication process. So we built this program to help people have a better understanding of pain first and foremost, and then how to deal with it and how to build a system to overcome their pain. So like other disorders, I'm probably going to be a lifelong back pain guy where I've had bouts of back pain. But these are the things that I use to manage my own pain. And then how I've learned have to teach this for other clients has been really powerful because no two people are exactly the same. So that's why we built it. That's what the program's all about. Every day you get a little bit different lesson, and hopefully 30 days later, you're going to feel a little bit smarter. And then that will push us into a back pain program that you can follow just to make sure that you're staying strong and staying nimble and your pelvis is always in alignment.
Cool. And yeah, just to tag onto that, it's all built in like our movement snacking format. So about 10 minutes a day, you're going to learn a lesson. You're going to move with John a little bit, and you're just going to walk away just understanding how to manage your back pain and movement in a new way. So 10 minutes a day for 30 days, change your life. Be really, really cool. Awesome. Nancy dropped a question here for you, John, in the chat. So at the beginning of the stretches, you mentioned a chair. She can't get down to the floor yet. Can you show the alternative stretches? Can you give her an idea of what some of the alternative stretches would have looked like?
Sure. Like the stretches at the very end.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So if we're in a chair, one of the things you can do, if you've got a chair, you might have an ottoman. You might have something that's out in front of you that you can just put your foot up onto, or you can hold it out there. But what I like to do, I've got like my power plate in front of me. I don't know if I can tilt down so you can see it. Yep, right there. Okay, so I'm going to basically just take my foot. Now you can see it. So I'm going to take that foot. I'm going to elevate a little bit. I'm going to stay nice and long through this position. I'm just going to lean forward. I don't want to bend forward in a seated position with your leg extended. That may irritate your sciatic nerve. So we want to keep bent in the knee, tall through the spine, and just lean forward, just like we were doing where you're leaning forward for the nose. So that'd be the good hamstring one. And then we went from hamstring, we went to adductor. Adductor can be the same idea. I'm just going to be kind of at the front of my chair. I'm going to stick my foot out to the side, and I'm just going to lean in. So I'm going to get a bit of a stretch into my adductor here. If you want even more, you can turn your body a little bit. So that's a good way just to stretch the inner thigh. Then if we go into bringing your ankle up onto your knee, again, we just think about staying 90 degrees here, 90 degrees at the hip, 90 degrees, 90 degrees, everything's at 90. And then that will give me optimal length into that hip position. So there's that one. You could try to do, if you don't have any arms on your chair, you might be able to do a butterfly where you bring your feet together. I can't do that with this chair. But another way of just stretching the adductors is just to push on the outside of the thighs here to get some separation at the pubis. And then we've got some standing ones. So if I'm standing here, I can stand and stretch this trail hip. I can lean into the chair. That's more comfortable for you. I can pick my heel up if I really want to get and go vertical, if I really want to get into a real deep stretch of that hip. And then I can play around with all the different stances here as well. So I could keep my foot flat. I could drive my hips more at a swooping angle, and that can be more into the inside of the hip. Did that give you some options?
Awesome.
Perfect.
Yeah, okay.
Awesome. Oh, I get another question from YouTube, and I know Chris is on the call. Chris is founder of the Strideful app, John. So he does like running and walking programs. Really, really cool. But where this ties in is we do have a YouTube question from, it sounds like a runner asking about stretching before or after running. What do you recommend?
There's a lot of information that's out there about how static stretching can be detrimental to performance, some of which I believe to be true. There's also us when we take an exercise as to a stretch and make it a little bit more elastic or bouncy and keep it a little bit more dynamic, that can prepare the tissue for repetitive cyclical activity like running. So for example, if I was to stretch my hip, do that long hip stretch, I may not hold it into a static position before a run, but I might do this, right? I don't know if you remember, like in high school physical education, we'd always make fun of that older guy, that older teacher that's like bouncing when he's stretching, right? Because at the time when I was going through high school, it's like, oh, you don't bounce when you stretch. But the intuitive part about that older teacher is that he understood the difference between elasticity and plasticity. Elasticity is the ability for the tissue to deform quickly so that it can capture energy. And plasticity is the difference of being able to get plastic and stay long and hold that position. So think of like a ballet dancer that grabs their leg, puts it right over their ear. They're dynamically flexible to get there, but then they're plastic because they can hold that form in that position.
Can you demonstrate that for us, John?
Ballet, yeah. That's as far as I get. So myself, I'm more dynamically flexible than static flexible. So if I stand and swing my leg, I can swing my leg high, and my connective tissue, when I load it dynamically, expands quickly. But if you ask me to slowly bring it there, there's where I'm at. So there's some even research to suggest that certain people's DNA contribute to different types of fascia, which allow it to either deform and stay deformed versus others that need it to be more dynamic. So I'm more of the dynamic. I was more of a sprinter than a distance runner. So I generate force quickly and my body responds to that type of stress. So going back to the, what do I do before? I would go into more of a, take all these tissues through a little bit more of an elastic loading, because what we want to do when we run is we want to load. So if I'm just running here, I want to load elastic. So as I'm running, I want to be able to capture energy through the tendinous tissues. The way I want to do that is I want to build elasticity in it. So like some of our dynamic warm-ups might be just skipping in place. That is an elastic stretch. We don't think about it, but you're deforming that tissue more in an elastic way. Okay. Now, what I would suggest afterwards is, because you've loaded it so much, that the post-workout would be, all right, let your nervous system calm down, let your heart rate calm down, maybe an hour or two afterwards. Then we can start to normalize that tissue behavior that's been fatigued by doing some static stretching.
Cool. Okay, so looks like on YouTube we opened up a bag of worms with back pain. So just so you know, we get into a lot of this in the program. So I would recommend anybody who's experiencing back pain to take John's 30-day protocol. It's going to be super valuable to you. But I see a couple of questions here, John, very specifically sort of just asking about how you deal with sort of like acute back pain versus chronic back pain, and when you should start thinking about moving versus resting, I think is sort of what the debate happening is.
Yeah, great question. So conventional wisdom would say after I've hurt my back is just to rest it, mainly because the signal is so strong when you've just hurt your back that is really what your brain wants you to do. Unfortunately, that's about the worst thing you could do. So our goal is to bring movement in when you've had an acute injury right away. The tricky part is, how do I know what the right thing to do is? right? And so if I've strained myself, perhaps like I'm in the car and I've reached for it, I go to grab something, I feel like something jamming me, and I feel like I've been stabbed there, I probably don't want to do any more motion that's going to drive me into forward flexion and rotation. Those are kind of like two no-nos. So what we would do is we'd want to counter strain that. Okay, so the first step is getting our pelvis in alignment. We talk about that almost at nauseum in the course because it's so darn important, is to make sure your pelvis is in alignment. It's probably the reason why you felt that twinge in your back, is your pelvis might have been had an upslip and a rotation, or just an upslip, and then you reached in and the tissues were already at its elastic length that the disc in between the joints had too much pressure and it went bing, and then that disc the fluid inside the disc moved outside of its neutral position. The nucleus moved outside, and we get a bit of a herniated disc in the back. So our goal then would be, well, how do I counter strain it? Well, let's do the opposite and just do some light stretching. So I might get into this position here and just hold this position to counter strain what I've done. So if it was this way forward, I'd take that foot behind me and I might go into this position. So I'm blocking that spot where I feel like I was jammed, and I'm just trying to create some extension to it. Now, the tricky part is that over the next 72 hours, you're going to get lots of inflammation and it's going to irritate it. What you need to try to do is bring lots of circulation to that area. So heating pad alternating with ice, heating pad alternating with ice. We want to exchange fluids for the first 72 hours. That's the real basic way. We've got lots of different toys that we can use to help drive circulation. I'll show you kind of like the tools of the trade of what we use at home and what's available to you on the market. But that's the first thing, is exchanging fluids and keeping this pelvis moving, even if it's like this far. If I get pain right there, ouch, then I'm going to start about there, and I'm just going to move like this. So I've herniated 2 discs in my back multiple times. I've got arthritis in my lower back, and every time I just throw it out of whack just a little bit, I immediately start going into these counter strain issues. And instead of being out 6 months, maybe for a week or two, I'm kind of stiff and favoring it a bit, but I'm still functional. I haven't completely destroyed myself yet. So physical activity is always going to be really important. Walking, Dan, we need to add more little doses of walking when we're in back pain, because it just settles the nervous system down. Really, what we have to do is we have to deal with, how is the brain communicating to us as a threat? And then how do we lower that threat by letting it know that while I'm moving in safe ranges of motion, right? That the body doesn't perceive as another threat. So that's the trickiest part, is you have to get up and you have to be moving frequently. The problem with an acute back injury is we tend to not move, and we make things really, really bad right off the bat, when that's our perfect opportunity to get those tissues to start moving right away. Is we got inflammation in there. Inflammation's a good thing. Inflammation will help drive nutrients to the area to help heal it, but we got to exchange it, right? So you've got about 72 hours where more fluid's going to go there. Keep getting new fluid there. It's like getting an oil change, except you're changing it every 15, 20 minutes instead of every 5,000 kilometers. So.
Awesome. Awesome. And note on that 30-day back pain protocol with John, you get 4 of these sessions, right? Where you can actually ask John questions about your personal situation. I think that's what's really making these programs exciting for people, John, and kind of different from just taking a regular old online course, right? Is you're going to have actual access to the coaches. So thanks for that explanation. Thanks everybody for showing up. Chris and Nancy, thanks for coming to studio. All you YouTube jokers, start showing up in studio so we can kind of see you on screen. John loves to see you here on the Zoom call. So thanks everybody. We'll see you next Monday. Or if you join our back pain program, you might see John even sooner than that. All right. Take care, everybody.
Awesome. Take care.